Good morning to everybody. Happy weekend. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It's 5 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. And I'm going to go back to the story of Russian meddling. I waited a while yesterday into the afternoon to see if anything more was going to come up. I had a feeling, and I just didn't wait quite long enough because now, this morning, they're talking about, and I'm wondering if this all came out at the same time. That not only do our national security agencies have evidence that Russia's again going to interfere or is interfering in the 2020 election with the hopes of getting Trump reelected, but they're also working to bolster or boost up Bernie Sanders. Interesting, very interesting. Think about this. Think about the term divide and conquer. Or you look at it, I don't know, I'm not a military man, but I know I've heard these military strategies where you divide up the front ranks, you flank the front line and divide them up, divide and conquer. And I started thinking about this, and by supporting Bernie Sanders, if I were Russia, it would seem like a good tactic to further divide the Democratic Party and thus weaken their potential of beating Donald Trump. I thought about it. If there was one candidate, if Russia wanted, we won't say why or anything, but let's just say that Russia determined that having Donald Trump for a president would benefit them. And how would they go about it? Weakening the Democratic candidates would be a perfect way to go about it also. And, which candidate? If you think about it, there's so much, I've already seen so much division with these things that say Bernie or bust. And, there's so much division. There's these threats that if Bernie isn't the nominee, a lot of these people aren't even going to vote, and that'll just hand the election to Donald Trump. So I started thinking about this, and it makes a lot of sense if Russia were to interfere. The things that I looked long and hard to find out which security agencies and exactly what evidence they have, and I couldn't come up with anything. That does not make me doubt it at all. The fact that so Joe Maguire gathers this evidence, head of our national security agency, okay, and he goes in front of, I believe, a bunch of senators, probably the team that's for national security. I'd imagine both Democrats and Republicans, and he tells them about this. Then and Adam Schiff is in with these. I assume he's probably part of this group for national security, so he would belong there. So anyway, Nunes goes running back and basically rats out to Trump. Oh, Donald, you won't believe what just happened. Donald gets infuriated that little Adam Schiff is in on this meeting. Now you think about it, how much Trump has put down Shifty Schiff, as he calls him. But geez, he seems awfully scared of the guy, and he even said something about Schiff weaponizing this information. So I guess there's a lot of fear behind all this mocking and name calling. It shows a little something right there. So anyway, okay, so Joe Maguire, the head of national security, does his job, gathers this information, and presents it. Remember when 9/11 happened? There was so much looking back in hindsight. Geez, if we had known, if people had spoke up, if people had brought this to our attention, why didn't people bring this to our attention? And here we have the National Security Agency head doing his job, saying, look, this is a real issue. This is happening. We need to look at this. Doing his job. What happens to him? Trump turns around and immediately fires him. Wednesday, fired, bam. And what does Trump do? Replaces him. I don't know. I can't remember this guy's first name. Grenell. He's the ambassador to Germany, the current ambassador to Germany. He has little or no national security experience. But he's an ardent Trump supporter. Trump fires Joe Maguire for doing his job, takes Grenell from his ambassador job, Traditionally, like I said, I know a lot of basic stuff about government and all that, but I would not think that an ambassador would be that uh, qualified for a high level national security job. It seems more of a, you know, ambassadorship type thing, being nice to other country. Anyway, so what does that tell you right there? What's that tell you right there? What are Trump's priorities? Is it national security or is it Donald Trump? I mean, that right there tells you all you need to know. The man that was looking out for the country, Joe Maguire, sounded the alarm like he is supposed to do, and he gets fired for it. And he's replaced with somebody who will specifically watch out for Donald Trump's best interest, but knows nothing about protecting our country. That right there tells you that Donald Trump puts himself above the country. So they're talking to about how long Grinnell will serve. Is it just temporary? So they're looking for other national security agency heads. But now I hear debates about, well, who would possibly want this job? Because you're basically, you can't plan a career. If you're going to do your job, you're going to get fired in this position, basically, like Maguire did. So what kind of good candidate could you possibly get? I mean, no qualified good candidate would want to take that job, knowing that by doing their job, they'll be out within less than a year. So what kind of people will that attract for the permanent national security head position? Just Trump kiss asses, and that's who will get elected to protect our national security. If that doesn't scare the bejesus out of you, I don't know what would. So then back to Bernie Sanders. It's interesting too, and I've been I've seen this stuff about Hillary and the DNC really putting up quite a little stake about how far Bernie's gotten, and that makes me wonder and worry. You would think, you'd think they would support anybody who would beat Donald Trump. So it makes me wonder if Bernie Sanders really is the man who's on the outside of all the lobbyists, all the status quo. And that's why they really don't want, the Democrats are actually worried that somebody will get in there and actually do the right thing and change a lot of this bullshit. It makes me want to vote for him more. When I saw Hillary talking crap about Bernie Sanders, I never had a beef with Hillary until I saw that, and then it made me wonder. One more thing too. I know I've talked about Facebook before, and it's never gotten a lot of views on here, so I'm not going to talk a lot about it. But just this morning, I was already I was paging through sites on Facebook, Democrat liberal sites. I think one's called All Your Base. There's a few good ones. And already there's these posts that they're false. It portrays Bernie Sanders as a communist. It's not from these liberal sites, but it's the liberal sites saying, look what's out there. Look what else these Russians or whatever are putting out there. See, but that doesn't make sense right there either, because supposedly the Russians are trying to help Bernie right now. So it wouldn't be them that's putting out this communist crap if they're trying to help Bernie. So who would be putting out this communist stuff? Probably the Democrats, like Hillary. I don't know. It's getting a little foggy. It's getting a little thick, like a mystery. But it's scary that as soon as this information was brought up by Joe Maguire doing his job, Trump just didn't even do what he should do. Didn't pay the least bit of mind to it. It seems like it didn't even cross his mind. He was just concerned with Donald Trump, how this is going to affect Donald Trump, how this is going to be weaponized against Donald Trump. I mean, he didn't say one thing, didn't he? It does not look like it crossed his mind for 1 second, worrying the fact that Russia could be getting into our maybe possibly like into our electric grids, our infrastructure, our internet, our banking, and all that. And a good president, I would imagine, would want to look into that, our national freaking security. But no, doesn't even cross his mind apparently. Just concerned about Donald Trump, number one. And again, it goes back to people saying, well, Democrats are just, sour grapes. They're just upset about 2016. No, man. No, it's stuff like this. Exactly stuff like this. Donald Trump is just not doing his job in protecting the country, national security. He's like a little kid that they're going to take away his presidency. Don't take away my cookies. Oh no, they're going to take away my cookies. That's what it looks like. He's all scared that it's going to affect him and his job and take away his presidency, his little jar of cookies, instead of protecting us, the country, our electric grids and everything else, our nuclear grids. Some stuff to really worry about. Anyway, okay, you guys have a good Saturday.